I thought, why do I think Dick Cheney is dead?
I know. I didn't realize he was alive when he had his
I
support.
just assumed Dick Cheney was dead. I
Yeah.
guess I felt like I heard he
Or in
was.
jail, or he shot a guy in the face and didn't go to jail.
Yeah, classic, classic.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there is Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Instagram at Bluesky and Bluesky at Namely90s. You can also find the show on YouTube every Monday at youtube.com/@namely90s. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/namely90s and get signed up for one of our support levels.
Yeah.
What have you been into lately?
What?
I don't know.
What question is that? Are you teeing up the thing that I wrote down, or is that just a random question?
I don't know. You're like working on
your question was, what have I been into lately? Not up to.
I don't know.
Not,
like, what are you watching?
Yeah, I'm into kind of petite athletic girls.
What are you watching these days? Real life political satire.
Was I supposed to tee up the debates? Because I'm just
asking the question differently.
I haven't been able to last week, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago, Star Wars Outlaws came out on the PS5 and whatever, and I bought it, played it for I don't know, maybe 8 hours over the course of a weekend. But that's all the time that I've had to for anything. I get home, I go to sleep, I wake up again, waste a few hours, then go to sleep at night, wake up at 6 in the morning, I guess. Or no, I'm at work at 6 in the morning, so I wake up at 5. I don't know how you did this. How did you do this?
It's Groundhog Day. No, it's horrible. The nice thing is I can now text you early in the morning because I'm just up at all goddamn hours.
But I put my phone in my bag, so I'm not completely distracted by it. But I do have earphones in a lot. But yeah, I have a new job. I guess I'm technically just a seller hand at Claiborne Churchill. But I like to say I'm assistant to the winemaker.
That's assistant to the wine. That's the Claiborne Churchill. Yeah, that's that one we liked, right? With the
we tasted there.
Yeah, they're cool.
Multiple times, and I don't know why they shouted me out on their Instagram, so I'm going to shout them out on our show. And actually, a semi-flattering photo of me for being dressed in my work attire, which is just a random $2 shirt and cargo shorts and a sun.
Where did they shout you out? Insta?
It's on their Instagram, which is Claiborne and Churchill Winery, all one word.
Short, easy to remember.
Yeah.
Error, could not load page. Oh.
You have to spell it right too.
Yeah. Yeah, they were good. Here's the problem. I'm now a total douche though, because I'm like, I'll have the Chardonnay, but is it too oaky?
They have we have two different Chardonnays. One is oaked, one is stainless steel. So
you get that oak out of here.
And neither of them were available for us to taste when we tasted there.
That is true.
Yeah. Well, because they're focused on Alsatian whites and Pinot, because that's where we are.
Listen, Chardonnay, more like Chardonnay.
And
no, seriously, so I really always hated Chardonnay. I thought it was god awful, but since I've had the unoaked ones, I actually like it a lot.
See, I like a little oak on my chard. I like a little oak. I like a little malolactic, and
I could take a little bit of oak, but some of them are like overly oaky.
A typical California chard, they call them like a butter bomb and over oaked, so that's fair. But yeah, if you like unoaked Chardonnay, you probably like Riesling, which I think you did while you were here.
I think it's a little sweet.
Riesling,
I think
you thought the dry Riesling was sweet.
Older white ladies really love their really buttery Chardonnay.
Oh, you're talking about Chardonnay. It's like
no, I'm saying Riesling is also too sweet.
It was a dry Riesling.
Okay.
But there is, yes.
This suffers from the same thing as the Wendy's. Would you like that spicy or crispy, or is it spicy or grilled?
Yes, except dry is the opposite of sweet when talking about sugar content in wine.
Correct, but they're not opposites in general.
In the practical, yes, in the common vernacular terminology, dry.
Yes,
is the
I would like
wet.
to drink powdered wine. I would like my wine to be made into powder. Thank you.
It's
mostly just spider carcasses.
Yes, not everywhere else. Also, like the day after our last episode dropped, James Earl Jones passed away. Or was it the day after we recorded?
I don't remember, but yes, James Jage passed away. Best known for playing former president in the Gore Vidal play The Best Man in 2012. Interesting. We'll rip to the max.
He was Darth Vader in Star Wars. Icon. Hunt for Red October. You watch
Jim Greer?
Yes. Is that his character's name?
Yeah.
He was in Coming to America, Field of Dreams, of course. Oh, he was the neighbor in The Sandlot.
He was Mufasa, right?
He was Mufasa for the classic line, "Simba, I am your father." And what else? He was in Coming to America. He debuted in Doctor Strangelove, Stanley Kubrick's Doctor Strangelove. Something Andrew will never watch.
Probably not.
Yeah. Oh, he was in Driving Miss Daisy. Did you know he was in the EGOT? He's like one of the few actors performers to achieve an EGOT, the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Forfecta.
Oh, sorry, the cat is attacking me in a way, being in a loving way, but sorry, I got distracted there.
Oh yeah, he was in Roots. He was in 2004's Everwood on the WB. Ugh.
WB. He's in a lot. I do want to say we talked about it off the podcast, but I have been following this Linkin Park reunion situation.
Did we not talk about that last week?
I don't think we did. We talked about I think we talked about the countdown that like went to 0 and then started counting up, but I don't think like it had dropped then. Mm-hmm. So for those listeners who haven't heard this yet, they have this new singer, Emily Armstrong, I think.
Because last week,
and there's been like some controversy because like he has ties to Scientology and may or may not have defended a rapist briefly before not doing so. Sorry.
Also
alleged. Anyway,
you're kind of cutting in and out there. And you're still frozen.
Oh, I wonder why.
Oh
boy, that must be. You're very smooth. Like everything's smooth that I'm seeing you.
Interesting. I mean, I assume it's my end. It's usually my end. But the problem is that I'm recording your audio. So
anyway, does this sound better?
That's fine. I'm just saying yes. Continue.
You're hearing me okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been following it. I watched there was like a live stream concert thing where they announced their new song. And of course, everyone's up in arms. Like half of their fans are like, "This is garbage." Everyone else is like, "This is cool." And it's just very like mixed.
It's mid. I will go out on a limb and say it's not great.
I don't think it's mid. I'm saying the reaction has been mixed.
No, I'm saying the song is mid.
I mean, well, I want to say this. I watched the live stream and it was kind of rough. But then I watched a video.
I've only watched the music video.
Music video.
Yeah, there's a music video for the new song.
Oh, I watched it on the live stream when they performed it. But they just did a concert at the Kia Forum down in Los Angeles.
One of the 6
they did
shows?
Their first. Yeah, they did their first stop. And I watched a video of it, and it was actually a lot better than the live stream. Like,
I would imagine, especially since they failed the first time.
How?
The countdown went past 0, and then,
no, they meant to do that, but it was stupid. Don't get me wrong, but like the actual live concert was quite good, I thought, compared to the live stream. And and it's interesting. I did read this thing on Reddit, which I really wish I just didn't have the Reddit app on my phone, because now I actually look at Reddit. Before, I would look stuff up on Reddit and it would go, "Do you want to download the app?" And then I would just close out of it because it pissed me off.
I would just hit continue usually.
Anyway, and some guy was just like, "Hey, guess what? Like every time Linkin Park changed their sound, you guys were all super pissed. And then like 3 months later, you're like, oh, actually, I do like it." The guy was like, "They know what you like before you like it." And I was like, that's kind of a good point with bands, you know, when you're like a fan of a band and they do something different, you're like, this is trash. And then like 2 months later, you're like into it, you know, it's kind of funny.
It's not bad. It's not Linkin Park isn't a sound that I listen to anymore. So it's
I know. I don't either. I hadn't listened to it since high school.
Yeah, and I stopped listening before that. I listened to 2 albums, Hybrid Theory and Meteora, and technically I listened to Reanimation and Hybrid Theory cross whatever the Jay-Z one was. Linkin Park.
But
Jay-Z.
my point is, like, many bands go through a transformation over time.
And you know what I found? Their original crunchy sound is always better. No.
Well, yeah, that's true. But, you know, people still follow them, and like you do eventually, you know, the whole thing is just like, it's not my band anymore, right? Like I used to listen to them. They were cool, whatever.
Not my Linkin Park is what Andrew just said.
But, you know, it was kind of funny because like, it was just kind of weird timing because I was doing a lot of driving back and forth, and I don't listen to much music. I listen to archived Loveline. Like, you know, I don't listen to music very much.
Correct.
And like on a whim, I was just like, I'm gonna listen to that Linkin Park stuff I used to listen to in like middle school just for fun. Like I have Spotify, why not? And then like a week later, all that stuff went down, but I had no idea.
You brought them back.
Yeah, I willed it into existence. So anyway, I don't think it's that bad. And
it's not bad. It's just it's not something that I'd listen to. And I listened to the new Blink-182 album.
Yeah, but I mean, we had slightly different musical tastes even at that time. So,
but they both played on The End.
Yes.
Speaking
and
of
only
tracking,
one of them played in the end.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Continue.
Yes. I mean, what segue do I have now? I ran across this Buzzfeed quiz maybe a month ago, but we haven't had time to do it. And it's not really a quiz. It's a would you rather thing. It's called 90s Kids Choose Between Things from the Decade That You Grew Up In versus 2024. And I thought this would make a good episode just to kind of just do a compare and contrast, spark a little discussion between us. And I haven't really vetted it, so I don't know how long it is. So maybe we'll stop halfway through for the Namely 90s minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10. So maybe we'll stop halfway through if I didn't do anything else. Yeah. And just let's see where it goes. See where it goes. The 90s were the best era. This is from BuzzFeed contributor Michelle Bird. And you can find a link to this in our description or whatever. And it says the 90s were the best era, especially if you grew up in that decade, from blockbuster movie marathons to endless hours of music videos on MTV. Also, this Michelle Bird does not look like they're old enough to.
Also, people always conflate the term like 90s kid with
90s baby.
People who grew up in the 90s. Because you typically, if you're born in the 90s, even for us being born, it's like a little bit of a stretch. But anyway,
they mean people
who like spent the majority of their like consciously aware childhood in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, so we are 90s kids by the definition of being kids during the 90s.
Yeah, but
there's the Gen Xers have their formative years, their teen years during the 90s. And
you had a very different experience.
Why did you do a 90s podcast if you were like 2?
You had a very different experience if you were like 10 in 1990 versus if you were 2. But you still
or if
both
18
came up during that period. You know what I mean? So,
true. Yeah, and we're not here to gatekeep. We're just here to give our perspectives.
Correct.
I think, unless you were going the other direction with that.
No, I was just saying she said 90s kids, but
gotcha.
Yeah. 90s babies some of the later, and it gets confusing.
Some of the things from that era are now just living in the past. If you had the chance to bring back something nostalgic back from the 90s, if you had the chance to bring something nostalgic back from the 90s, would you? The only catch is that you'd have to give up something you'd love today. Now's your chance to find out what you'd decide. Would you rather bring back rentals from Blockbuster or keep binge watching your favorite shows on Netflix until the end of time?
That's a tough one.
No, it's not for me. It's not.
Well, first of all, Netflix is trash.
Correct, but fair. But Blockbuster,
I don't binge a lot of shows.
Okay.
Let me just put it that way. I don't binge a lot of shows, and Netflix isn't known for being the place that has all of the best shows. They're not all on one platform, but
now
Netflix is kind of a no man's land sometimes.
But you also got something new Cobra Kai. You got that 90s show. You got the new Pokemon stuff.
I mean, Pokemon, Cobra Kai, I'll give you that.
You have kids.
No, thank you.
Yeah, well, 90s show wasn't that bad. Or at least the first season.
Is that really the bar? Not that bad.
Yes.
If that's the bar we're aspiring to.
That's Cobra the bar for 90s reboots. Sorry?
The problem with Blockbuster, as someone who is I don't like going in places. It's exhausting. But I also
live in a town where you have to go in places.
I like the fact that you could. I guess the thing I like about Blockbuster is that going to Blockbuster was a thing. It was an event. You went to Blockbuster to find a movie. Netflix, you can it's just on demand at any time. So it loses a little bit of its specialness. Going to Blockbuster on a weekend, on a Friday night to figure out what you're going to watch for the weekend was kind of an activity, an event that you did. Whereas Netflix, you just turn it on and then you just have everything at your fingertips. And it just takes a little bit of the drama and also when you took something from Blockbuster, you were committed to that thing. So if it was terrible, you couldn't just hit the back arrow and go to something else.
Plus, you could rent video games.
You had to commit. Yeah, we occasionally rented a console. That was always the best.
Cool.
But
are you gonna actually vote for Blockbuster?
No, I was just gonna say, but would I actually, in all practicality, rather have to go to a store and go in it and talk to a person and rent something? God, no. But looking back on it, it was cool. It had its moments,
Yeah,
but streaming television is pretty awesome.
Late fees, they wouldn't always have what you wanted in stock.
True.
even if they had the rental, sometimes they wouldn't have it stocked. Whereas Netflix, I agree, current era Netflix is one of many streaming services, one that I'm not currently subscribed to, and will only now, after the last price hike, I will only now subscribe for a month once there's something that I know I'm going to watch like enough of to get my money's worth.
And honestly, I wouldn't even say that streaming is more cost effective. At first, I was going to say it was. The problem is you need all of the services to have the access to everything.
Yeah, but a Blockbuster rental is like the price of a service. Or
$20?
Okay, not an ad-free service, but like the $8, $10 premium tier, which I guess is free, paid with ads tier.
My favorite part about the Blockbuster, they check out the movie, and then like you had to walk through that little metal detector thing, and they like slid it down the counter to you at the other end. That was rad.
Baller, even.
Yeah, Netflix though.
You want to do the next one? Yeah, Netflix for sure. And 67% voted Netflix.
Yeah, not surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you rather use a flip phone or use an iPhone or smartphone, let's just say?
The Getty image for the flip phone is not a 90s flip phone. Those are definitely early 2000s or mid 2000s era flip phones. One's clearly a Razor.
Yeah, true.
So like the cell phone, the cell phone that I remember my dad having is the Motorola that has the flip down. So like that would be a 90s flip phone to me.
I think this style did come in probably at the very latest 90s, but like not those specific phones.
Right. A clamshell phone is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of a clamshell flip phone, like it's much cooler to take a call on one of those. You know, like you do an action, you open the phone, whereas with an iPhone, you just like take a brick and then stick it next to your head. You know what I mean? There's no like drama to that. It's very like.
But as a millennial, an introvert, and some probably with an anxiety, I don't answer my phone or take calls or call people or do things. So I would most likely use an iPhone over a flip phone.
I mean, I've gotten worse about that now that I have a smartphone. Like, but back then, like, you know, if you had a phone, it was like cool to get called because, like,
it was cool to text. It was cool to T9 while you were driving.
Not that I had a phone in the 90s,
right? We were
as a 12-year-old.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Do you have more thoughts on this? I'm gonna just brush.
I mean, the convenience of the iPhone, like at work, I have to count pills a lot, and there's an app that just like counts the pills for you.
The classic line about a calculator. You'll never.
Yeah, it does everything. It's got to be the iPhone. Gosh, we're such we're so spoiled by the newer stuff.
True. Did you click on? Do you want to do those percentages or?
So 69% of people said use an iPhone to 31% using a flip phone. I'm sensing a theme developing here.
Next one. Would you rather?
2/3 of people are in their right mind. Sorry.
Would you rather play video games on a Nintendo 64 or play video games on a Nintendo Switch? I have thoughts. You want me to go?
You start.
Okay, so it really relies on one thing, and that one thing is are we taking this from the 90s and having it now, like or is it an aged N64, because you know those controllers aren't going to work?
Right. I mean, I think you assume that like it's working properly.
Okay.
I'm I'm leaning toward the Nintendo 64. Part of the reason is because I actually I get motion sickness from the Nintendo Switch.
Here's the deal. If you pay for a Nintendo Online extended edition or whatever, you get their library of N64 games. You have the option to purchase an N64 controller up to 4, which I've done. And so you could play the Nintendo library, which, let's be honest, most of the good N64 games are in that library of that you can get on the Switch. And you can play it on an old school N64 controller that's wireless, and you're not attached to the wires. It's not, you don't have to have some sort of modded device to plug your red, yellow,
they
white
don't work well. The
cables
RCA connector,
into an
it's
HDMI
no
port.
good.
Like it's all on the Switch. It's all on the Switch. That's why.
Well, to be fair, we've never had an actual Switch, so we have limitations on what we can do. We have the Switch Lite,
which you could still buy that controller for,
but like, I guess what I'm remembering is like, I know it's what would you do now, but I'm just remembering the vibe, you know, and like I gravitate to the N64 vibe, the nostalgia of that.
Yeah, that's fair. We're trying
and it doesn't make me sick to my stomach.
We're trying to get a Mario Kart night going, and my friend was like, "Yeah, I just got a N64 adapter for my TV." I'm like, I have 4 wireless Switch N64 controllers, a second base that I can bring, Switch. I have all the things.
Yeah, my N64 died. I got a used one that died.
Do you still have the controllers?
Yeah, they're terrible.
If there's one that works, I might steal it from you. Next up. I'm going 44. Yeah, I picked the Switch, which apparently was the lesser of the two.
All right, moving right along. Our next question: would you rather have someone give you a personalized burned CD, or have someone give you a personalized Spotify playlist?
Ooh, that's actually a hard one.
Okay, so one thing about the personalized CDs is like many people were not as fastidious about getting high quality MP3s.
Yes. It wouldn't fit on more than a few tracks on a CD too. If you got
yeah, but like
if you have flash,
you were the people who like downloaded the really low quality ones. Like, let's give me like 128.
Okay, fine, fair, yes. A personalized Spotify playlist. Is that really like Spotify makes playlists for you now?
Yeah, you can make a playlist and share it with somebody.
Yeah, you can. We did for
too old now that no one's ever done that for me because I'm not in middle school or high school.
But like we, for the back half of season 1, we would do a playlist each week and like try to have it in order, but you can't if you don't have a premium Spotify account.
Yeah, but you don't need a premium account for burning a CD. You do need a CD writer.
But you do need a premium Spotify account to listen to a playlist in the way that it was intended to be played. Which,
what was the app that you used? What was the software you used to burn CDs? Nero. It was Nero.
Oh, Nero. Wow. I eventually just used iTunes.
Yeah, later, and then like the dialogue of the computer would do it. But Nero was what I used originally.
I guess who would still have a CD player at this point? So
true.
I don't know. I guess this is null, but I would appreciate a burn CD just for the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, I'm mad at Spotify right now, so I'm going personalized CD.
Apparently,
hey,
yeah. Hey.
61% chose the personalized CD. 39% chose the personalized Spotify playlist.
Nice. Next up, would you rather shop at malls and stores you could only find in the 90s? The photo shows the borders from the Everett Mall. And shop for everything online and never have to leave your home.
Ooh, I have mixed feelings about this.
I do too.
Even though it's like retail and it's all like predatory and trying to steal our money, like I find it depressing that retail is just all closing.
Yeah.
And like malls are weird. Like I missed the heyday of like stores that you went into in the 90s, you know, like
or like
you needed clothes for
mall.
school, so you went to Mervyn's.
Yeah.
My kids just buy it online and it just shows up. They don't have to go to school shopping, you know?
How do they like do they look at photos or do you just pick stuff for them? No,
Kayla just buys it for them. She knows their sizes. She buys them stuff. But I mean, don't get me wrong. When I was in the 90s, I hated it.
Yeah.
But I looked fondly upon it now. Yeah. And when I see like those big retail stores, like the department stores closing, it honestly makes me a little sad. Yeah. I remember the heyday.
Or like malls just being shells of their former selves. Like say.
But now the mall is online, you know?
True. But there's no people watching online. Or like, yeah. At the same time, it is nice having everything delivered to me. So living in Seattle, like I buy stuff and it shows up 2 hours later. That's like nice. 8 Amazon deliveries a day. Nice. Yeah, and let's be honest. The question says shop at malls and stores you can only find in the 90s. I would not only shop. Yeah. Where am I going to go? I don't need Jinko jeans. Yeah. I'm going to go to shop online.
I don't want to never leave my home.
True.
But the way they worded the answer is I want to go with shop everything online.
Same, but apparently we're old misers because 69% said shop at malls.
Stores you could only find in the 90s. So they're talking about stores that were around in the 90s that were closed in 2000.
Orange Julius. Yeah, right? Gymboree.
Like, I can only shop at defunct stores. Like I can't shop at modern stores that also existed.
Welcome to the Defunct Land Mall. And that was question number 5 of 10 questions.
And now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of Season 2 of the Frasier reboot, we're looking back at the pilot of Season 1 of Frasier 2023, The Good Father. The Good Father, a play on the title of the pilot episode of the original Frasier series, The Good Son, is the first episode of Season 1 of the Frasier reboot, starring Beast from X-Men, Rufus from Kingsman's Secret Service, Jackie from The Neighbors, Marianne from Letterkenny, and Rodney Trotter from Only Fools and Horses. The episode begins with Dr. Frasier Crane arriving in Boston to do a guest lecture at his alma mater, Harvard, where he's greeted by his college roommate Alan Cornwall and traveling with his nephew David, who is an incoming freshman at the school. Frasier is processing his father's funeral and breakup from Charlotte, who Frasier followed to Chicago in the previous series finale. He hopes to reunite with his son Freddie, who is now a firefighter after dropping out of Harvard and also didn't show up to Martin's funeral. So he drops by Freddie's place unannounced. He meets Eve, Freddie's roommate, who Frasier confuses for Freddie's girlfriend. He also meets Olivia, Alan's boss at Harvard, who tries to recruit Frasier to teach there in her department. Freddie attempts to hide his living situation with Eve and her infant son from his dad, but in classic Frasier fashion, he is unsuccessful. Freddie and Frasier have a heart-to-heart about Eve, who is Freddie's dead best friend / firefighting coworker / Eve's baby daddy, as well as why he didn't go to Martin's funeral, and reveals that Martin flew out to Boston after Eve's baby daddy's death to help Freddie through it. Frasier then doubles down on genuinely reconnecting with his son and decides to take the position at Harvard and buys Freddie's apartment building and moves in across the hall, hoping his son would move in with him to let Eve have the apartment across the hall for free to raise her kid. And that's The Good Father, Season 1, Episode 1 of Frasier 2023 in a Namely 90s Minute. More or less.
And now, back to the show.
I think it's your turn.
Would you rather watch music videos on MTV or watch reality shows on MTV?
This is hands down.
Watch music videos.
Yeah, there's no debate there. 83% says watch music videos.
And they show a picture of Pauly D. Like, that's the reality show.
Would you rather watch
maybe like
Pauly
90s
D?
Real World or something? But
yeah. Well, I guess modern Jersey Shore came back.
Ugh.
Yeah. Speaking of people that came back, that Blink-182, is that All the Small Things, or is that what music video is that? Anyway,
God, I despise that band.
Would you rather?
Well, I was just gonna say, never mind. It's never. I don't want to bring it down. It's kind of a sad story. I just didn't know if you'd heard it.
Pauly D died.
No, you mentioned New Jersey. You hear about that NHL player and his brother who were riding bikes and got killed?
Yes. Someone who told me about that. We were at a 90s DJ event, 90s hip hop event last week. Oh, it was last week, right before the last week's recording.
I found out today both of their wives were pregnant too.
Good Lord.
Some drunk guy just like plowed them over. God, that's horrible. Anyway, sorry to bring it down, but you said Jersey and it reminded me.
Would you rather take pictures with a Polaroid camera or take pictures with a cell phone?
Well, you said we should roll through these quickly, but and so this is going to be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Polaroids are bullshit.
And also not exclusive to the 90s.
They're not good quality pictures.
Mm-hmm.
The immediacy of it like wasn't worth the reduction in quality.
It wasn't.
But like cell phones give you the immediacy and the quality.
Agreed. But 52% said take pictures with a Polaroid camera and 48% said take pictures with a cell phone.
Get out of here, Gen Xers.
Yeah.
This isn't for you.
Or Gen Z. I feel like they're going retro.
So we for work, we had a Polaroid camera. We're supposed to take pictures of the pets.
They
came in and it was garbage. It was like the Polaroid camera and then a Polaroid printer. So then I just found a way to take the picture with my phone and send the picture to the Polaroid printer, and it was excellent.
Well, yeah, because those Polaroid printers are halfway decent, and they are just Bluetooth enabled. So right,
but the actual actual Polaroid cameras are just horrible excuses for actual cameras.
The new ones aren't good at all. No. Your turn.
Would you rather have an endless supply of gel pens or have an endless supply of Stanley cups? Well, since I'm not a white chick.
Next question.
No. I have no use for gel pens. By the way,
at least they do something.
Someone fills out like a form with a gel pen, like a purple gel pen.
That's a thing people do.
I've seen it before.
Let's be honest. In 2024, I would rather have an endless supply of Stanley cups because then I would sell them.
I'd rather have an endless supply because I'm one of those people that likes to have a cup that keeps things nice and cold, and I always leave it somewhere, and I perpetually never have my cup with me. So if I could have an endless supply of Stanley cups filled with like a cold beverage, it would be nice. And yes, they contain lead, but not on the surface contacting the beverage, you morons.
I bought the Gatorade one.
The same people who think there's lead in the Stanley cups, the same people who think that Haitians are eating their house pets. I'm just saying.
True. 84% said have an endless supply of gel pens, though.
This question is not geared toward men. Sorry,
that's true. That's fair. I mean, I guess you would never want for a writing utensil ever again.
Yeah, but I feel like you couldn't sign any contracts.
There's black gel pens. Okay.
I feel like you get to put a heart over your eye, when you're writing.
Fair. Would you rather play with a Tamagotchi or play Pokemon Go?
Oh, man. I have only done one of these things, so it's hard for me to comment.
Okay.
As someone who's done both. What do you think?
Well, I'm addicted to Pokemon Go. I have a device that connects. Well, so Pokemon Sleep is more like playing with the Tamagotchi, so that would be the better comparison. But Pokemon Go is more popular. It's still popular apparently, and I have a peripheral that auto catches for me, and auto spins Pokestops to get me items. So yes, I would rather play Pokemon Go in 2024 than play with a 90s Tamagotchi, which I also had.
Yeah.
But 73%
I think
of you
Tamagotchis are
weirdos.
kind of bullshit, so I'm going Pokemon Go.
Yeah. 73% said play with Tamagotchi. 27% said play Pokemon Go. Last one.
Next one. Would you rather go back to the days when social media didn't exist, or never give up social media because you live for it? Now, let's take a moment and define what that means. Are we saying, like, is AOL Instant Messenger considered social media? Or, like,
no
apps that you can scroll?
I would say scrollable apps. They have no
I'm doom scrolling.
They don't. Huh. They don't have any. They don't have any messaging apps on their stock photo.
Also, YouTube is kind of social media, but
true. There's a comments section. By the way, leave a comment on this, and thank you to our commenters from last week, who include our friend.
Comments from last week.
Well, technically, it wasn't on our YouTube. Well, we did have a comment last week from on our Batman Namely 90s Minute. But no, Dave wrote us a nice note on Instagram, I believe, because I haven't had time to post to Twitter lately. Let's see. From Dangerous Dave. Loved this episode. Ooh, our video's blocked in multiple locations. Loved this look back on Top Gear. So many great shows and so many funny memories. A great show. Loved the intro as well.
Yeah, the intro was legit.
Apparently.
Yeah, I probably didn't like the music.
Our Apollo 13 Namely 90s Minute is blocked on Instagram. Cool. Just like Happy Gilmore was. Yeah.
We actually staged the moon landing.
Yep. You know it. Anyway, yeah, shout out to Dangerous Dave of not only Insanely Dangerous Retro Pod Show, which came back last Wednesday, 9/11 joke here. He's hosting a new podcast, or it's not new at this point, but newer of the two, called And When the Bell Rings. Ring.
Question: are we putting an E tag on this?
If you want to.
I think I said bullshit at least once.
Is bullshit a word that we should censor? And then the bell rang. Dange and Lloyd are heading up that. You know, they beat us to a podcasting network because yes, they are now the Insanely Dangerous. What is it? They are
Podcast Network.
Yeah, essentially the Insanely Dangerous Retro Podcast Network. Shout out!
Nice.
Yeah. If only
anyways, fuck social media.
Yeah, says the man that sends me stuff from his Facebook feed.
Oh yeah, trust me, I use it, but it's garbage.
I mean, I'm really addicted to Instagram, but yeah, pre-social media would be nice.
Yeah, I hate it. I use it. I hate it.
Well, is there one thing that they didn't cover that you would bring back from the 90s? I would bring back. I feel like if I say Michael Jackson, that would bring the wrong connotations.
Yeah, I'm gonna cancel you.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I would do? I would bring, and this would be controversial for my vegetarian and vegan friends, but I'd bring back the original McDonald's fries that are when they did the beef tallow, or not beef tallow, but beef fat.
I mean, just because they're vegetarian and vegan doesn't mean you have to be apologetic for liking things that aren't.
No, but like they deserve to be able to eat at places too, especially McDonald's. Who, by the way, you know what I would bring back? I would bring back the prices. I would bring back the prices. I remember when gas was under $3. I remember when Happy Meal was like what, $2? Yeah.
Yeah, the prices were pretty legit.
Prices were legit. We also may have destroyed the Middle East to do that, but who knows?
True. I don't know that I have a topic outside of that. I think they were pretty comprehensive. And
on that bombshell, no. Can we co-opt that now that Top Gear and the Grand Tour are off air?
Sure.
And on that bombshell, that's it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Find us on Instagram, Bluesky, and YouTube at Namely 90s with 90s, and tell us what you would rather do. Have a world with podcasts or have a world without them. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/namely90s, also with 90s. And finally, you can contact us through our website, namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible. I can do this.
Napster.
No.
But that was before. That was 2000s.
Okay, let me try that again. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison, Pocket Cast, Castbox, iHeart Radio, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew. We'll catch you next time.
Oh, Winamp.
Kicking the llama's ass.